What is happening, my good people? Greetings. How are you? How's it going? How's everybody doing out there? What is the latest and greatest? Hope everybody's doing well, feeling fantastic, and excellent spirits on another Wednesday live stream. The date is November the 19th. And I have to have a quick shout out because my cousin Josh, who I have not seen in eons, not to shout him out, but today is his 55th birthday. That's Junior Seau, Ramiro Mendoza, big time 55s, Billy Ray Smith, who wore that same number that Junior Seau wore later on. Billy Ray Smith was a linebacker on the Chargers in the 80s, and then, of course, Seau wore that. Other 55s, drawing blanks right now. Hideki Matsui, if you want to throw him out there. So, Josh, wherever you may be, happy birthday to you, bro. I miss you. Love you. I hope you're doing well. But it is the 19th. We're now 8 days away from Thanksgiving. And I'm sure everybody's going to be primed and ready to go for another holiday season to get together with family, friends, and all that. But we have plenty of time to talk about that. We'll unpack that more next Wednesday. But today, and I see comments in the room already, I appreciate that. But as far as right this very moment, I want to get into what has transpired here over the last couple of days and what we could picture ahead and get a grasp of what the sports landscape is going to have to offer. And you know, I will get into that in a matter of moments. But, of course, share your thoughts on the screen. My regulars who come in week out, which I appreciate, as you well know, they know what to do. But for those who are here for the very first time or a little shy or, I don't know how to navigate this thing, just type whatever's on your mind. And best beware – I shouldn't say beware. You best believe that I'm going to be able to put that up on the screen for everybody to see. So we got that, as well as those who are watching the replay. And even though you're not on live with us, which is all right, I guess, you should be live with us. But if not, leave a comment. I'll be more than happy to follow up, even when this is put into the books here on YouTube, obviously for everybody to watch after this recording. But with that being said, what is there to get into? Well, let's get to the comments. Why not? Let's start there. All right, I have Miles, who earlier before the start of this says we're going to have fun. And for whatever the reason, I know my comment, I posted that. It came up twice. Normally, I don't type in the chat because obviously you have me here, live and in living color. So, but with Miles, there he is. Welcome, my friend. It's been a minute. And Val, of course, one of my diehards, as always. You and Miles, much appreciated as we get into it and what's happening in sports. So I want to start off with this. What to watch out for week 12, NFL. And now we are starting to maybe, not necessarily just get a clear picture, but we're getting a little bit of a better idea with some teams that are on the fringe, with some teams that may be coming back to the pack, with some teams that maybe may make a push here. Now, that's not to say week 12 is going to define that. That's not to say week 12 is going to have that to a point where everybody's going to think that, well, this team is going to be on the move or this team is falling like a stone. But week 12, and the schedule is not great either. So I have to start there. But it does set us up for what could lie ahead heading into the Thanksgiving week, which I'm going to be anticipating because you have the 3 games there on Thanksgiving. You have the 1 game there Black Friday. This is where, of course, your head's going to be spinning. And I'm sure for those who have significant others, they're going to be saying to themselves, oh, geez, how am I going to say this to the wife to say that, hey, hon, even though people go shopping online more so than to go to the department stores. But, yeah, there's a game Friday afternoon, 3 o'clock that I have to watch, and it's on Amazon Prime. I mean, who knows? I'm sure we could skip that. It is a pretty good game next week, and I know I'm going ahead of myself. But the one thing is that when we get through this week and head into next week, that's when we would think that once we close out November and get into December, that's when things are really going to be on and popping. But as far as the schedule this week, you don't really have a lot to chew on. Now, tomorrow, you have an interesting game with 2 teams that are fighting it out. One that is trying to catch the Patriots, which they're probably not going to, in the Buffalo Bills, and them just trying to stem the tide of a conference where right now they're hovering in that 5-7 range in the AFC. And then you have the Texans who are at 500, who are trying to get themselves above 500 and maybe squeeze themselves into the playoff picture. But right now, that is not the case. They're on the outside looking in. And when you don't have your starting quarterback, C.J. Stroud, who's going to be out again because he's in the concussion protocol, it's a scenario where Houston, with them being at home, that is a game that they absolutely must have. And even though they still have the dregs, they still got to play the Titans, I believe, one more time. And they still have Jacksonville, where they're going to look above them in the standings and try to get to them and maybe even past them, because I don't think they're going to catch the Colts at this point. But with Davis Mills under center and not C.J. Stroud, it does put a little damper into the game, even with Mills playing significantly well or more than what we could ever imagine. He had that great comeback against the Jaguars just, 2 weeks ago, and then won against Tennessee in their building. But now, I believe it was on the road. Yeah, I believe it was in Tennessee. So now it's a situation where they are right above water, barely keeping their heads above in that AFC playoff picture. And now to go up against Buffalo, a team, well, let's face it, Houston isn't going to win the division, and you don't think the Bills are going to win the division. This is an enormous tiebreaker game in that conference. So I understand may not be sexy because Stroud is not going to be in the lineup there for the Texans, but considering that this is a big-time game when it comes to implications down the road. So that's going to start us off there tomorrow night. So good game. Would have been better if Stroud was playing, but you're not going to have him there. And let's see if Davis Mills, if the clock's going to strike 12, or is he going to continue to play well in this building to where they get themselves right in the mix in the playoffs, or at least for the playoff picture. Now, as far as the schedule this weekend, other than tomorrow night, your 1 o'clock games are as follows. New England at Cincinnati. Cincinnati, as we know, they're a dead team. I'm going to get to Cincinnati in a minute. Pittsburgh and Chicago, that's another game I want to get to as well. We got to see what's going to happen there with Aaron Rodgers. As you know, he suffered an injury there, which looked like it was going to be serious, but it's not. He may have to wear a cast. He does have I guess it's a hairline fracture. Hasn't really been revealed to the press or to us to know the extent of that injury, whether or not. We know it's not broken, and we know that it came back clean, but there could be something there to where it may be affecting Rodgers. Thankfully, it's on his left hand, or his left arm, not on his throwing arm, of course, near his hand. But those are two games I'm going to focus on in a minute. Then you have the Giants in Detroit. I know Detroit, after that bad performance there offensively, give it up to the Eagles. They played great on the defensive side of the ball to slow down that line offense. And then the Giants, who knows if Jackson Dart's going to come back, but you got that game there in the Motor City. Minnesota, Green Bay. I know Minnesota now has hit the skids. Green Bay trying to see if they could get themselves in a position where maybe they could overtake the division, considering Pittsburgh and Chicago earlier. And remember, Green Bay has that tie. So if Pittsburgh were to beat the Bears and if the Packers win against Minnesota, they'll be in first place even with that 7-3-1 record. So just keep that in mind. Seattle at Tennessee, big whoop there. Tennessee's awful. Indianapolis at Kansas City. That is the big 1 o'clock game for sure, because with the Colts coming off of a bye and with the Chiefs losing in Denver, this is almost a do-or-die game for the Chiefs, if you can even think about that here before we even get to Thanksgiving. They're currently at 500. They have been up and down all year, and now that they have the Colts coming in, and you would think the Colts, after having 2 weeks off and coming up with a big game plan to try to see what they could do to, at least with the against that Chief defense, trying to get Jonathan Taylor, of course, on track, which he's been on track all year, other than the Steeler game when they lost in Pittsburgh. But this is a game that a lot of people are going to look at to see whether or not that the Chiefs are going to resuscitate themselves, or could this be the beginning of the end? And what I mean by that, not of the era, not of this dynasty, the Chiefs kingdom, etc., but just for this year. Because if they fall a game under 500, and right now they're already in a position where they're on the outside looking in the playoff picture. So could this be a situation where if the Chiefs do not win by 1 point or by 50, whether or not that this is going to be a telling sign on the Chiefs? And remember, they have to come back 3 days after that game Sunday against the Colts, where they're going to Dallas on Thanksgiving. And Dallas plays well in their building. I understand the Arizona game notwithstanding, and we would think that their offense, considering what they did to the Raiders, I understand it is the Raiders, but generally they play pretty well at home on Thanksgiving, dating back to the days of Roger Staubach. Now, what does that mean? We have to wait to get to that game before we can even discuss on Thanksgiving, a week from tomorrow. But when you have the Colts coming in, who right now are a team that is at or right now near the top, because currently with the way it is, you have the Broncos and New England Patriots at 9-2. They haven't had their bye yet. They're going to have their bye the week after Thanksgiving, because you're going to have all the teams play over the Thanksgiving weekend. So the following week is when you're going to have New England and Denver have their bye, and that's going to be it for the byes here for 2025. So the Colts, if they win this game, obviously they'll catch up to both New England and Denver in that regard, although the Broncos and the Patriots are playing this weekend. But that is one game that, for all intents and purposes, if you have Chief fatigue, if you're sick of Patrick Mahomes, if you're sick of Travis Kelce, and to a certain degree even Taylor Swift, you want the Colts to go in there into Arrowhead and beat them on Sunday. And if not, the boogeyman's still going to be around. There'll be a game over, and then they're going to go to Dallas. And if they win that game, they're 7-5, and you think that they're going to be surely in good position to see if they can make a run here to try to qualify for the AFC come January. Then you have the Jets in Baltimore. No thanks. Cleveland at Vegas. Now, this is interesting from this regard. It was announced about an hour or so ago that Shedeur Sanders is going to start in Las Vegas, his first ever game there for the Cleveland Browns. Now, I'm not going to sit here and think like, oh, is he going to have a big game considering the Raiders are awful? And I know Shedeur Sanders, although had to come into that third quarter where Dylan Gabriel got knocked out because of the concussion, and that's why he's the starter. And I don't even know who the backup is, who the guy that's going to be just in case if Sanders does get hurt. But for Shedeur, listen, I'm not trying to say that this is a situation where it's a dress rehearsal or he's just going to get this one game. You would think that if Gabriel is going to be out past this game, this is really a situation for Shedeur Sanders to thrive and to try to shine, to see whether or not that he is going to be a capable quarterback here in the NFL. And I'm not going to go based on what you saw there Sunday against the Ravens, where he went 4 for 16, 47 yards, had a pick, held the ball on for way too long than he should. But listen, he's trying to shake the dust and the rust off. He has not played all year, and now he gets thrust into the middle of a game in his building against a Raven defense that has improved here since the early part of the year. But I'm not going to look at this game, even if it is against the lowly Raiders, that if he has a bad game, that, he can't play quarterback. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to do that. A lot of people are going to pounce on Sanders if he performs poorly here, considering that the Raiders are a dead team walking. And let's say if Sanders does have a big game, I would think that everybody's going to look at it as like, oh, wow, here it is. We should have started him all along. You can't get crazy. So he could go out there and, let's say, go 14 for 19, throw for 150 yards, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers, and they win 20-14, that people are going to think that Sanders all of a sudden is going to be on the fast track to Canton. No way. So whether he has a good game or even a great game, or if he has the worst game known to man, doesn't complete a pass, throws interceptions left and right, I'm not going to look at this one game and think, oh, Sanders, he's no way he's going to be a big-time quarterback, or that one game, well, I need to see more. Hopefully he plays over the last 6 games, and the Browns can determine whether or not their quarterback of the future is on the roster. Because I don't know if Dylan Gabriel is just that. Now, Gabriel, still incomplete. He's had a handful of games, but am I going to sit here to think that, oh, yeah, he's going to be at least a solid quarterback in the league? Or I can't even say that he's going to be a terrible quarterback. What he's shown you has been okay. Not the worst, not the best. He's been okay. And even if Sanders does have this 6 games to prove his worth and being a guy that's a 5th-round draft pick, whether or not that he's going to have enough of a body of work here to stay healthy and to improve week to week, that's what we want to see as fans. And even that 6-game sample size still may not be enough, because even if let's say he goes 3-3 or even 2-4, are people going to all of a sudden throw him in the trash and be like, he's not worth it? Or will the front office and even more so the coaching staff, are they going to look at Sanders in that 6-game body of work, if he does get those 6 games, as a situation where, hey, I think we can work with this kid? And Kevin Stefanski, is a good offensive coach, offensive mind, and Sanders now being thrust right into the fire here to see whether or not that he's going to have the bones and the chops to play in the league with these players that are going to be coming at him fast and furious. That is going to be fascinating. And let's see. I'm not going to be quick to judge. I'm not going to look at it come Monday's podcast, and that I'm going to have to talk about later on, come to think of it. So just keep that in mind as we move along this live stream. But this one game is not going to seal the fate for Shedeur in my mind. So that's all I'm going to say there, because I'm sure there's going to be others that are going to, I told you so, he's no good, he's this, he's that. And you have the others like, whoa, look at that performance. And we can temper it by saying, it's the Raiders. But we'll see what happens there Sunday in Vegas. Then you have Jacksonville, Arizona, no thanks. Atlanta, New Orleans, nah. I know it's a rivalry game between those two cities, but no. Philly at Dallas. Now, this is an interesting game from this regard. With Dallas winning on Monday night in Vegas, and if they beat the Eagles, and maybe the Eagles are due to lose a game here, and the Cowboys they played pretty well against the Eagles in that building over the last few years, but if they win that game and then with the Chiefs coming in, and let's say if the Chiefs do win against the Colts, then at least you have something brewing there on Thanksgiving, as opposed to, let's say, the Chiefs losing, even though, of course, they're going to be in the hunt when it comes to the AFC, so it's not as if they're going to be completely out of it. And if Dallas loses on Sunday to Philadelphia, they're going to go to 4-6-1, so you're going to have a 5-6 team going up against a 4-6-1 team. I get it, it's still Dallas, and it's still Mahomes and the Chiefs, but again, you want to have some juice going into that game to where at least you could say, all right, one of those two teams, if they go in, whether it's a game over 500 for the Chiefs and with the Cowboys at 500, at least we could look at that and say, all right, maybe this could be a team where they could take off from here, whether it be the Cowboys, which at that point they've won 2 in a row, and then the Chiefs, same for them if they beat the Colts on Sunday. And for the Cowboys, maybe, who knows? They're a team that I don't think they're going to make the postseason. And even though the Chiefs right now, it's certainly not looking good, but I don't know if they're going to make it at this present moment. But if they both go in at 500 or better, at least you're going to have not only just a competitive game, but maybe a situation where one of those two teams takes off. So that's what you have there. And then the Sunday night game is great. Tampa, LA against the Rams. Rams, of course, you know they've been playing well. And for Tampa, they've hit the skids. And there's an interesting stretch for them because they lost in Buffalo, as you know. The week before, they lost against New England. And now they're going up against another top-notch team. And whether or not they're going to be able to match wits and not only that, but also match points. Tampa, we know that they could do so, despite the fact that they've been nicked up here over the last few weeks. Not having Chris Godwin back, no Bucky Irving. We know that the Bucs now have hit, I don't want to say hard times, but considering they got off to that great start, and now they are in the valley of a season where they're hoping to get out of, and this would be a good game to get out of because when you're thinking about tiebreakers, especially down the road, when it comes to Tampa, as we would think at the end of the day, even with Carolina maybe breathing down their necks, but we would think they're going to win a division. And the Rams right now, after beating Seattle on Sunday, they have the upper hand there in the NFC West. This game is going to have implications as far as tiebreaker down the road to see who's going to get, in all likelihood, maybe a 2 or 3 seed. Because you would think that right now with the NFC North and how that's shaping up, despite the fact that the Bears are there at 7-3, but we would think they're going to come back to the pack. They have a very tricky schedule down the stretch of the season. You would think maybe Detroit or even Green Bay could overtake them when it's all said and done. So to me, this is an enormous game to see who is going to at least have the upper hand as you get deeper into the season when it comes to tiebreakers. So keep that in mind. And then you have Monday night for Val, Carolina at San Francisco. Carolina, they're a team with the performance by Bryce Young there on Sunday. That is one where which Carolina team we're going to see? Are we going to see the team that stung up the joint in their building against the Saints of all teams? Or are the Panthers, based on the performance there by Bryce Young on Sunday, for them to all of a sudden maybe try to be a team that could be a threat to clinch and maybe get a playoff spot as you move deeper to the season? And I understand it was against the Falcons the other day, and then no Michael Penix Jr., as it's been confirmed. He does have a torn ACL, so he's done. But if he could piggyback that performance into a performance that he's going to need Sunday night against Brock Purdy and company to keep their playoff hopes alive, and not only that, but you're also talking about a tiebreaker with those two teams too. Because San Francisco, at the present moment, when you take a look, and I'll pull that up right now, at the standings there in the – I was going to say wild card, because right now they are currently wild card teams. But right now with the Niners at 7 and Carolina at 9, and they actually have a game, or it's really a half game behind the Lions, because the Lions right now are not in the playoff picture. They're on the outside looking in. So with the Niners at 7-4 and the Panthers at 6-5, and both of those teams have not had their buys yet. So to think they're going to have that bye, that's an interesting week. No New England, Denver, San Francisco, and Carolina. Those are going to be the teams that are out that week, which would be what, week 14. So for Carolina, this is an enormous game for them. They win this game, they'll move themselves into that spot of the 7th seed in the NFC, and we'll have a tiebreaker over the Niners at that point. So you have a very good Monday night game as it's shaping up right now. And to me, those are the games to watch. Indy, Kansas City, the Monday night game, the game there Saturday or Sunday afternoon, Philadelphia, Dallas, and then the Sunday night game, which did I even touch on? I don't think I did. The Sunday night game that you have is, Tampa and LA. That is your Sunday night game. I just didn't say that it was Sunday night. I knew that they had the matchup, but NBC will have that game. And that is pretty much your schedule. Now, as far as the other things that are happening in the league that I want to touch on, and then I'll get to some of the comments here as I see them pop up. Now, Jamar Chase, we talked about the Bengals. They'll be at home against New England. Now, the Bengals season's done. Forget about it, toast, etc. But for Jamar Chase to get the one-game suspension and him to deny that he didn't spit on Jalen Ramsey, and then on top of that, he was going to appeal. I mean, Jamar, come on now. Come back to earth here. That was a joke. Certainly did not look good on him. Not only just the spitting incident, but for him to lie about it in the postgame, and then to add another layer of icing to that cake. He also wants to appeal it, which obviously he's going to serve it this weekend. He's not going to play against the Bengals. And even if Joe Burrow does come back, and we don't know the status just yet, because remember, they'll have the Patriots, and then they go to Baltimore to play on Thanksgiving evening. So if the Bengals have any shot to start something, and if Burrow does come back, and we don't know the status of him just yet, because Joe Flacco, poor game there on Sunday against the Steelers, certainly not looking the way he did when he first came over in the trade from Cleveland to Cincinnati to the other side of the state. But how I look at it at this present moment, this is do or die. If they have any possibility, and I don't think they do, come on, they have 7 losses, and they still have to play the Ravens twice. They have to, I believe that first game of the year was in Cleveland. And the only reason why I say that is because that is pretty much a Super Bowl for the Browns if they're going to play the Bengals. And they do play them, but I believe that game is in Cincinnati. So the Bengals right now certainly not looking good for them, at least in my eyes, to where they are going to be a team that's going to make any threat here, even if Burrow does come back there on Sunday. And then the other thing is, speaking of which, in their own division, well, Aaron Rodgers, with that wrist injury that he suffered there late in the second quarter in their game against the Bengals, whether or not he's going to play, that remains to be seen. We may find out as early as Friday from Coach Tomlin. We'll obviously keep our eyes peeled, especially yours truly, the Steeler fan that I am. But how I look at it is that Mason Rudolph, I know he's not the guy. I know he's not going to be the one that's going to come in here and be the pinch hitter for Aaron Rodgers. Now, if Rodgers can't play, of course, he's going to be the guy under center. But even with his performance the other day, 12 for 16, what did he throw, 140-something yards, had 2 sustainable touchdown drives. And Rudolph knows the offense. And, again, it's a Bengal defense. Bears, obviously, a level or two up in competition. And when we look at Aaron Rodgers, he has not had a big-time year. He's had moments. Moments where he's played well. That Bengal game, the first one in Cincinnati, very well. Opening day against the Jets. And we could say, oh, well, they're the Jets. Well, it was opening day, and the Jets literally took us deep into the fourth quarter to where they had an absolute shot to win the game. But there's been other times where he has not played well. And for Rodgers with this wrist, I don't know if he's going to have it taped, maybe a soft cast. I don't know how that will affect him when the ball is snapped, etc. But I would think Rodgers is going to want to gut this out and see whether or not that he's going to give it a go there on Sunday. And that's familiar territory for him. He's played in that stadium a million times, knows the fan base, so he's not going to be afraid to go in there, despite the Bears playing well, as you know, at 7-3. But I guess the question is, based on what you saw in the second half with Rudolph, maybe for a week, maybe for 2 weeks, but that's probably tops because the Steelers' schedule is going to get difficult. If Rodgers could sit out a week and maybe Rudolph, now I don't know how much it's going to heal over the course of a week, and we don't know how bad the break is or if it's a hairline fracture. They said it isn't anything serious where he needs surgery, but if obviously it's affected and if he's going to be scrambling around and getting hit and thrown to the turf, that's not going to bode well if he's going to try to brace himself to get to the ground, etc. But with the Bears Sunday and then they host Buffalo the week after that and then go to Baltimore before the Monday night game against Miami, which will probably be flexed out, these next 3 weeks are critical because the Ravens, as you saw, they have the Jets there on Sunday, so you know they're going to beat the Jets. And Lamar's actually going to have a better game than what he had Sunday against the Browns. If the Steelers don't win, they're going to be tied for first place there in the AFC North, and it could go south with the Steeler schedule, and then the Ravens schedule is easy before they get to play Pittsburgh there in that first Sunday in December. Because the game after that, and I think it's a cake game. Let me just pull this up. Well, they have the Bengals, as you know, and that could be a competitive game, especially if Burrow comes back. But the following week, prior to that game, is when the – hold on a second. Nope, that's when they play Baltimore. So it's this Sunday, Ravens, they'll host the Jets, and then have Baltimore coming into the Cincinnati coming into their building there Thanksgiving night. If Burrow's back, maybe they have a shot to win. And Jamar Chase will be back too, so that would also be a big boost. And the Steelers had the Bills coming into their building. And I understand it's all Josh Allen, and that's another bad thing if you're a Bills fan. I understand you can look at your quarterback with the uniform, the height, the build, and the S on his chest. But how I look at it is that they're relying too much on him. They don't have a ton of playmakers. Yes, they have good guys on their team, the Khalil Shakirs and the James Cooks of the world, and Keon Coleman is he's taking a step back, and you got the two tight ends. I understand. But to me, it is so heavily relied on him to deliver time in and time out that you can't expect him to, week in and week out, just be a guy that's going to pull his team out of the fire and win these games. He's going to lose one of these games at some point. So that's just my assessment there on Josh Allen. But that's what you have with the NFL here as we get ready for a week number 12 starting tomorrow in Houston between the aforementioned Bills and Texans. All right, now let me get to the comments here. And I think Rodgers, if these gets the green light to play, he's going to play. I don't think that Tomlin is going to be afraid if Rudolph is going to be the quarterback there, at least for one game. I would think he'd want to have him back against the Bills. But I think if Rodgers is going to be sound and ready to go and have it taped up, shot up, whatever needs to be done, then I think he's going to play. But you do have to run the risk of him taking a bad hit or bad fall to where that could get worse, and then you can really forget about it as far as the Steelers season goes from that point on. But that's the game. What are you going to do about it? All right, let's get to the comments here. Let's see what we got. I see J-Rod, of course, Val. Tatsuya. Oh, here we go. Miles. I know Miles has said a few things. Where are we here? All right, Miles with a hello, and Val likes the live. Appreciate that. You know that, Val, very much. What is this? Miles. What is that starting up music? Oh, that is the intro to the live stream. That's what that is. Yeah, I mean, it's not copyrighted or anything like that. Miles saying, what's up? Yeah, Warriors lost last night. They play in Miami tonight. So Jimmy Butler goes back. Remember, he went back there last year after the trade. Of course, Miles with his Melly Mike or Millie Mills, Young, Black, and Rich. Sharks did win yesterday. Beat the Mammoth. I believe in overtime, so good for them. Jay, am I crying? What am I crying about? Merry Christmas. We haven't even got to Thanksgiving yet. But Merry Christmas to you. An early Christmas. What are you doing for Thanksgiving, Miles? I want to know. And what is your grandmother making? If you could please share that, or maybe have your grandma come in. I'd be curious to know what she's got to, what she's cooking there next Thursday. Val, why did that Black Friday games NFL? That just started last year. Dolphins, Jets, and you know why, Val. Right here. You get Amazon Prime, toast the game, because remember, Amazon Prime's not doing the Thursday night game. NBC is. So you have Fox, CBS. I don't know who's doing in what order. Wait, Green Bay? It doesn't matter because it's not as if they flip-flop. I would think what's going to happen is that CBS is going to get the Green Bay at Detroit. Kansas City at Dallas is CBS. NBC gets the night game. Amazon Prime gets the Black Friday game, and that's all it is. Money. Oh, here we go, Tatsuya. My thoughts on Cam Skadabu fighting with a broken ankle on WWE. I mean, come on. This guy suffered a broken ankle, was it 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks tops in Philadelphia. Now, I understand that. Listen, can he go out, have some fun? And I'm sure that the WWE, whether they reached out to him or whether Scatterboo figured that, hey, let me see if I can get tickets, front row, and they realized that the WWE said, oh, wait a minute, this is that rookie on the Giants that although he's out for the year, but he's exciting, he's a fun guy to root for, etc. And then next thing you know, there he is on Monday Night Raw, and he's pushing wrestlers. I couldn't even tell you who the wrestlers are, to be honest with you. And Abdul Carter was there, and he's had a terrible year. But for Scatterboo to be there, broken ankle, I understand only was there just to push a wrestler, and he got pushed back. Thankfully, he didn't fall awkward on that leg. Could you imagine? The leg, which I believe was just had to be surgically repaired. Yeah, if I'm John Mara, the owner, I would have been sick to my stomach. Or better yet, if I'm flicking the channels and I'm having my Oreos and a little bit of almond milk or whatever, and here I am flicking the channels, I'm like, wait a second. Is that my player? And next thing you know, I'll be spitting it right out. You can't make it up. And again, that's not to say that he can't go out and enjoy himself, but did he have to be a part of the histrionics and part of the whole scene there where you're getting pushed around? And I guess I'm an old man. I wouldn't like if that was my player. Jay, my man. And hopefully Fishing Angel is here because I got a little something for Fishing Angel. So I just want to put that out there. If Fishing Angel will be surprised. And even if she's not there, Jay, maybe she's working, this is on video, so it'll be on a replay. So she'll get a kick out of what I'm about to do here just in a matter of moments. All right, so here we go. J-Rod, ungodly amount of money. Oh, jeez. Mission. Yeah, I tell you, the DMV is probably the worst place that anybody would ever want to be. It's brutal. And to think, it'll be here before you know it. For me, I got to go renew my license in 2027. And I believe when I renewed it in 2019, I think it's every 8 years. And I get it's 8 years. It used to be 4 or 5 years back in the day. But I had to renew it. I think it was like $92. $92 for what? Could it be just like $20? Or at the most, $25 to renew your license? Especially somebody who's been driving as long as I have. I can see it was a newfound driver or someone that got their license at 16, and then now they're, 24, going on 25? And even though they got 8 years experience, depending on if they had a car or not, but let's say 8 years experience, and it's like, all right, well, you're 25, and this is your first time renewing, you got to pay whatever, $50. How about 50? And then as you get older, 25 and maybe 20 tops. I mean, seriously, what are we doing here? And I understand they got to, I guess, make money, but, I mean, really? Yeah, that is criminal. And you have no choice. You got to get it renewed. And I'm just talking about renewing a license. But, Jay, I know, I'm sure you probably typed it, which I'll get to in a second. But, yeah, I mean, it's just, Jay, help. Oh, help. Wow, what happened? Was it toward me or toward J-Rod? Hello, not help. Sorry. Say hello. No worries, Val. Yes. Love the camaraderie here. CMC, former Team Panthers. Yes, that is Christian McCaffrey, as you're referring to. Val B, who's going to be the quarterback for the Falcons now? That is going to be a one Kirk Cousins. Remember him? Yes, who signed that, 4-year, $180 million deal, $100 million guaranteed before last year? He is going to be a starting quarterback. J-Rod, myself, not having a great day. Got some great news. Got some not great news, from my doctor this morning. Then had to give the DMA too much money. Yeah, that's rough, man. The only thing I'll say about that is, oh, man, I may have to turn off this light soon. Man, my battery was like 2/3 full, and now it's about a third. I get it. It's pulling a lot of the energy from the camera, the microphone, this live stream. Yeah, that's not good, man. I wish I could send some more encouraging news or words, I should say, towards you. Yeah, I mean, that's just tough. Now, first and foremost, your doctor and that. Now, I'm not going to put it out there, but from the standpoint of you just only hope and figure out what's going to be best. I send nothing but positive vibes to you, Fishing Angel, the kids, etc. But I know, hey, you got the heart of a lion, to use a reference to your team. So I'm sure you're going to be in good stead after the dust settles here a little bit. Roger's getting older, I know. Yes, he is. And he's not getting any better in the process. Jay, live play-by-play for the Steelers versus Lions. You know what? That's a good one. That would be, I know, and I haven't done that in a while. I should do it for that game. Why not? And that is not next to last. I think that's before Christmas. Isn't that game? I think that's week 16. Steelers Lions. Let me just double check that while I'm here. Yeah, I believe that game is in week 16. Right, because then the following week they play at Cleveland and then they host Baltimore. Yes, that is something that I'm going to do. Oh, I see the next comment there, Jay, which I'll get to. Yeah, I'm going to have that in the forefront of my mind, but that's something I will definitely consider. And with that being said, let's get right to it. Fishing Angel is in urgent care with our son. I hope he's okay. First and foremost, right now, she says hello to everyone, and so we say hello back. But Fishing Angel, even though you're not here, you're here with us in spirit, but I got one for you because I know over the last couple of weeks, I know I've been saying, I got to get coconut water, I got to get this, got to get that, and I know I have fallen short, and I said on Monday's podcast pregame, which is another podcast pregame coming at you tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, right here on the channel. I know I said on Monday, I said, I got to get coconut water just for Fishing Angel. So guess what? No, there's nothing in there. But guess what? Right from the source. If I spill it, if I turn it a little bit closer. So here we go. I'm going to back up a second. Just so you see. Yeah, this isn't from a box. This isn't any of that. Look how much water out of that sucker as I spill it on the floor. Right, and this isn't sponsored by anybody. As you can see here, it's still coming. All right, and I cracked one open this morning. Because I have a glass here with coconut water in it. As you can see, look at the color. All right. Yeah, I know it looks cloudy. It's like, hey, Jay Reels, you sure that's not just terrible tap water? No, because this, as you saw, came right from the coconut. So you match it side by side and pour. And Fishing Angel, this is to you, to your son too, Jay. Cheers, toast. Straight from the source. Doesn't get any better than this. Oh, that's good. And if you notice, over the first, 38 minutes, I hadn't taken a sip of anything. So, because I wanted to set that up. So what you're going to have to do, Jay, you're going to have to go back just to, I guess, what is that? The 38-minute mark of this video. Just forward it to right there or right before there and show that to her. I'm sure she'll get a kick out of that. Of course, Val's showing love. Miles, here we go. Are we going to see live stream Spider-Man? Live stream Spider-Man? What, the movie? The play? The animated movie? Video game? I don't know, Miles. What are you saying? Kinder Joy? Kinder. Isn't that a candy? Kinder? Uh-oh, here we go. Tatsuya, you know I love your comments and your questions, everything. Your thoughts on ESPN Jet Pass article said the Pirates is pursuing Klaus Schwab as a free agent. I saw that and I was shocked. I saw that earlier. Now, Schwarber, now listen, he's won a World Series, so he's not going to ring chase. Why would he go there is beyond me. And what are the Pirates going to pay him? He just came off of I believe his contract was 4 years, $74 million. So when you do the math, that's what, $18.5 million per year? Why would he go to Pittsburgh? Pittsburgh is probably going to, we can only give you 15. Unless he's like, hey, I'll go to Pittsburgh. I'll be a mentor to these guys, so on and so forth. If he does that, and you know what? Kudos to him. He can go wherever he wants. That's the beauty of free agency. But it's rare to get an all-star player to sign in a small market like that, especially a team that has no offense. They have pitching. A team that's not going to be anywhere near the playoff picture. I saw that, and I was shocked, Tatsuya, I got to say. I didn't understand. You can only hope, though, that if Schwarber does sign there, does that mean there's going to be a shift where players of that ilk are going to sign with smaller markets? No, not at all. Unless 1 year from this coming December 1st, if the CBA has not been signed, sealed, and delivered, then you're going to have a scenario where maybe they flip the script to where the free agents could go to smaller markets because they may be a, dare I say, salary cap. Very unlikely, highly unlikely, but yes, surprised just like you there, Tatsuya, about the Pirates showing interest in Kyle Schwarber. Your license is over 8 years in Michigan areas is 4 years. Wow. Yeah, I think that's what it was prior to. Yeah, it's 8 years, New York. Now, I don't know if they changed that because when I got it renewed, that was in 2019 and it's up in 2027. So, yeah, every 4 years. Wow. But I'm sure the price isn't that much, though, because I know New York, I think it was like $92, which is insane. Val, what happened to Abdul Carbo? Why? Yeah, he is. Have you seen his stats this year? This guy, he was a number 3 pick overall out of Penn State. A guy that he was requesting to get Lawrence Taylor's jersey number, who, as we all know, Lawrence Taylor, arguably the greatest defensive player ever in the history of the sport, revolutionized the outside linebacker position. Wanted to see if he could get number 56. Could you imagine if he had worn that number this year? I say that because do you know how many sacks does Abdul Carter have here after 11 weeks of the NFL season? I guess the best way to put it is this. He has a half a sack better than I do, and I don't even play. That's right. He has a half sack this year. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say I've watched every Giant game, or put it this way, every Giant snap. But, yeah, he has been non-existent. And let's face it, their defense has been non-existent. And they have good defensive front. We know Brian Burns is very good. Signed from Carolina a couple of years ago. I got him from a trade, I believe. Or maybe that was a sign-and trade. Kayvon Thibodeau was a first-round draft pick a couple of years before that. You have Dexter Lawrence, who's a very good defensive lineman, to go along with Abdul Carter. You would thought he would have had like 10 sacks by now, considering that teams would key in more on Burns, Lawrence, and even to a lesser degree Thibodeau than they would Abdul Carter. But he has just been I don't want to call him a bust, but he has just been awful. And that's all there is to it. It's not like, oh, they've double teamed, they've done this. No. Guy like that shouldn't be double teamed if you have a half sack. They should, if anything, they're probably not even paying attention to him. That's how bad he's been. No one feel bad for me. That's not what I want. Hey, no barks. Of course, Kismet hears somebody outside, so right away. No barks. Stop. No one feel bad for me. That's not what I want. Or I'm about. Life goes on. No doubt. No doubt, Jay. But, it's concern, man. That's all it is. Obviously, you're a big part of these live streams. You're a big part of this community. And, when I'm certainly not going to just be like, all right, hey, man, best of luck. No, I'm going to, hey, concern, man, without question. So, but I get it. I don't want it to be a thing where, we're going to take the whole live stream and talk about it because I'm sure that would make you feel uncomfortable. But obviously, there's concern, and we just want to show love and obviously thoughts, prayers to you first and foremost, and then obviously to your son, etc. Here we go. Miles has to say this. I'm having alien juice. You want to call this alien juice? Why not? Let's call it alien juice. Let's just hope I don't turn into an alien. But let me tell you something. That alien juice is better than anything you could buy in a store. That's for damn sure. That's better than any of the prime. I don't want to give him a shout out. That's better than Gatorade. That's better than any. This right here, as cloudy and as funky as it may look like, look it up. And I'm not talking about coconut water. You can get it from the box, the Vita Cocos, etc. But when you get it from the actual, again, this is a young Thai coconut. Or you can even get the green coconuts that you probably see if you're in South Florida or even in the tropics. That right there, you get more out of that than you can than anything on any shelf in any supermarket. Believe that. Shout out to aliens. All right. And then, of course, he has to follow that up with shout out to Predator. Which the Predator movie's out now, which, I have no interest in. Jay, he just don't feel great. Stuff going around school right now. Nah, hey, safe than sorry indeed. Without question. And shout out to Miles from my birthday. Yeah, your birthday was last month, though. October 7th. We're in November. But again, shout out to you, 14 years old. What was I doing when I was 14? Playing sports. Not doing well in school. Not because I was a bad student. I was just a lazy student because I just wanted to be outside playing ball. When school started in September, I was still playing like stickball a little bit, but I was playing more football. Then when football was over, it was basketball, but then I also played hockey. I was doing everything. Everything but schoolwork, which is not good. That's not my advice to any of the young kids that are watching out there. So, a defense mastermind, Draymond Green, reached 900 career blocks, becoming the second player in franchise history to achieve this. I guess Wilt is first. Wouldn't he be Wilt, considering San Francisco Warriors, or maybe not? Alton Lister, there's a name for you. Look that name up. Alton Lister was a very good defensive player, and I think passed away a few years ago, if I'm not mistaken. But, yeah, Draymond, listen, we know – I get on his case all the time. We know he's an excellent defender. I'm not going to say he's an all-time great, but, hey, listen, he's won a couple of Defensive Player of the Years. He's been first-team All-NBA defense, that is. But, listen, I'm not going to pound him by any stretch. Sauce on X on Draymond. Okay. Yes, of course, Miles. You are also. Without question. You're not forgotten here. I didn't see his stats. Abdul Carter. I didn't know he was not that great. Well, you would think coming out of college he would, but this year he has definitely not been the case there, Val. Yes. And Cade came back, only put up 25 and 10. But you know, it's a team that actually, and that was against Atlanta, over the last week and a half or so, I didn't realize the Toronto Raptors are 9-5. And I'm going to get to them later. But I saw that. I almost fell out of my chair. I said, what? Wait, I haven't seen this. Yeah, so I'll touch on the NBA in a little bit. Jay, Michigan women's basketball looks legit. Oh, against UConn. Oh, I'll be rooting for you guys. I can't stand UConn. Gino Auriemma and they won last. Didn't they win last year? I think they did. Yeah, they beat South Carolina. And I was rooting for them to win again because I never do not want to root for Gino Auriemma. I got nothing personal against him. He's won a million championships. He doesn't need to win anymore. Warriors, too many turnovers. That's how they lost, and Anthony Black beat us. Good year day. Yeah, no, Warriors. I know he was going out with Jalen Suggs last night, Steph Curry. I don't know if you saw that, Val. I'm sure he did. But, yesterday, yes. And Orlando, they've underachieved so far. Well, they 8-7. They should be better than that. I picked them as an over this year, and they were 51.5. Ooh, that's not looking good. Yes, yesterday I traveled the time to get here. Yeah, how long did it take you, and how far did you travel, Miles? I'm curious. They just beat Notre Dame by 50. Ooh. Big win. Where are they ranked? I got to look them up. Yeah, I'm going to break out my plug. Look at this. This thing is how much percent I have left here. Come on. 25%. When it gets to 10, I'll put it in there because, then I'm not going to have light. It's not going to look good. Oh, Notre Dame was 15th. And where are you guys at? Let's see. You'll probably get it before I do. NCAA. No, I want basketball. Yeah, so I'm sure Michigan, they have to be ranked where? Top 25 as well? Yeah. Oh, here we go. Rankings. Yeah, I couldn't even tell you. UConn, South Carolina, no shock there. Michigan 6th, okay. And let me pull this up real quick. This is for Jay, which I'm sure you already know this, so I don't have to tell you. But Michigan's best player is Olivia Olson and Mila Holloway. 17.8, 14.3 points per game. All right, we'll definitely keep an eye on the Lady Wolverines there in college basketball. And I know college basketball, I haven't really talked about it that much, only because there's so much else going on. And does anybody care about college basketball right this second? I would say not a chance. All right, let me go back here. All right, so now let me go to, oh, look at that. Michigan's 6 in a row. Oh, it's 6 now. My bad. I'm ahead of myself. And then men's 7th. Yeah, listen, if both of those teams obviously ranked in the top 10, they're going to have big-time years, and that would be something if you get both of those schools to go all the way and win a title. Miles, I'm from the 1830s. I traveled here, stuck in this time, so I came here, found the Miles from this time, and teamed up. From the 1830s. I'm trying to think, 1830s. What happened in the 1830s? All right, Miles. I hear you. I dig it. Just glad you're here. It's been a while. All right, here we go. The calm before the college football storm this Saturday. We know that next weekend is the weekend in college football. And I'm not going to talk about the conference championships because they're not going to mean as much this year than they would in years past, of course, with the expanded playoff. And I get it maybe for bye purposes. But even then, let's say if it's Ohio State, Indiana, they're still going to be, and they both go in the game undefeated, which you think they will. Whomever comes out of that game with a loss, they're still going to be ranked and have a bye. So I'm not looking at that as a situation where, one of those teams is going to get knocked out. Not the case. But this week, you do not have a ton of games or a ton of good games. In fact, I think there's like 3 or 4 that you have that you could at least be interested in. You have Missouri, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Florida. USC, Oregon, I think is the best game of the day. I know some people may say Missouri, Oklahoma, but I don't think so. I think USC, Oregon is going to be big because USC is trying to get in and Oregon is trying to stay on. So, and I believe that's the Saturday night game. So that's going to be a good game right off the bat. Tennessee, Florida, only because the game is in Florida. And Tennessee, if they have any outside shot, which I don't think they do, but that's a game that they have to win. And in Missouri, Oklahoma wants to stay in the spot where they're at, maybe even move up, which they did. I think they're now, 5th? After beating Alabama the other day. So those are the games of note this week. It's next week, Thanksgiving, where, please, we could be here forever talking about those games. And we'll touch more on that next Wednesday on the live stream. So we'll hang our hats there and look forward to what's going to be a relatively quiet college football weekend. And generally, that Thanksgiving weekend is always on and popping and crazy with what's going to happen there with the sport. All right, let's see what we got here. Some comments. Uh-oh. I see a name that I haven't seen in a while. Oh, you think so? Maybe there, Val? Okay. Feel bad Warriors lost? It's a long season. It's going to happen. Draymond only 12 points yesterday. And listen, for him, that's a lot. So that's a good thing. And I'm the Miles from this time. And then Miles says, yep. All right, so who's Felicia? Because Miles, I know you've come on with that name before, but we know you're in the room as Miles. Unless you're on a laptop in one hand and then on your phone in another. Warriors, will they beat the Heat? Heat have actually played pretty well. I'll say no, only because the Warriors, it's a back-to-back. I'm sure they got in late last night to Miami. They're going to spend the night there tonight. But listen, I wouldn't be surprised if the Warriors win. But because the back-to-back and the Magic, they play pretty physical, the young team that they are. So I'm going to say no, Val. I know you're not going to like that, but I could see that. I remember the game 2 years ago when Michigan went into Maryland, and that was a barn burner. I think it was like 37-31, and Jay, I'm sure you could reel that off the top of your head. So, Maryland's going to come. They'll bring it, but I think they'll fall short, too. That's a good score right there. I could see it being 23-17. Yes, he does have to bounce back. I think that – now what's interesting is that do the Wolverines look past – and this is a quintessential trap game. Because although they know Maryland is tough, and 2 years ago they went to Maryland, almost lost, and then obviously they beat Ohio State. That was at home in the big house. But my thing is that if they're in the middle of the third quarter and the game is, 16-13 Wolverines and the Terrapins have the ball, will Michigan be tight? Will Michigan scramble around to try to get themselves in a position where they could take a double-digit lead or two-score lead, etc.? I don't know if that's going to be the case, but they certainly can't overlook this team because the last thing they need is to overlook them lose, and then that Ohio State game, although obviously for you, Jay, it's enormous, but they have the big picture in sight. And even with the 2 losses, they know if they just run the table, they may actually get in. So we shall see about that. Let's see. All right. Warriors. What's the second quarter for my Peloton bike? What's the first quarter, I think? You think? Well, if you are on your bike and you got in, well, I'm sure you probably started the game around second quarter. You probably missed the first quarter then, right, Val? But that's all right. Hey, listen. I'm not at the start of every game that I watch. I mean, unless it's a huge game. And the NFL is different because, it's the NFL. But hey, if you got to jump in the middle of the game, that's all right. No worries. No, that's the other Miles. Okay. I've seen you, but that Felica error? What is? Oh, maybe that was spelled again. Hold on. Oh, here we go. No, not the comma for the storm. I've seen you, but that was in a yeah. I want this. Is the Miles era? Oh, here we go. It's the Felica. I got it right the first time. Yeah, I've never heard of the Felica era, but whatever that is, let me just know. I got to go back to that other comment. Hold on a second. All right, well, let me just move it along here. This is the Miles era. No, never Michigan knows better. That is Ohio State's problem. They think if they show up, they win. Yep. Oh, are you talking about Wolverine from Wolverine? No, you're talking the X-Men? No. I'm not talking about Hugh Jackman. I'm talking about the Michigan Wolverines. In this case, I was talking about the women's basketball team and the men's for that matter. Yeah, so we're not talking about that. As long as Ryan Day is head coach, Michigan has a good chance to win. Yeah, talk about a guy that's trying to get the piano off his back. Oof. All right, I am interested. I don't know. What's his name? Tony Vitello was he from Tennessee or Vanderbilt? One of those. It's eluding me right now. But, yeah, I don't know anything about him, Val. So we're going to have to wait and see. That's one of those things where you're going to literally have to watch the first 2 months to kind of get a feel for his managing style. Now, we know he's there to kind of be the buffer to the players, make sure that everybody is, aligned and doing well and almost like a buddy as opposed to a manager. So we shall see. Felicia, you might need to watch that, Miles. Uh-oh. All right. All right, so that's it. I have the comments there. Let me see. J-Ron. Yeah, okay. Now, let me get back to the banners here because at this present moment, I got another comment. Let's look at that real quick. If Ohio State does win. Yeah, that is John Cooper. That's a good one, Jay. 2-6 would be wow. Yeah, that's not good if you're Ryan Day. Now, I know you won a title last year, but yeah. They've lost 3 in a row to Michigan. It's going to be interesting. Watch what? Uh-oh. You and Felicia going back at it? All right, so that's what I have with the college football, right? Yeah, that's pretty much going to be a calm before the storm, as I mentioned. Now, to get to the hardwood as I lace up the high tops, 1 o'clock here in the East. Glad to have you guys and gals on. Battery at 18%, so I got to keep you posted with that. I mean, I'll have my plug, but you're just not going to see the light up there. It's going to get a little dark. And no, not from the content, just you get it. LeBron returns, Pistons roll, 11s, and the Raptors? Yes, let's start with LeBron. Comes back, had what? I think 11 points, 12 rebounds, or did he have 12 assists, 3 rebounds, something like that. And LeBron, you know he's going to take it easy. He's going to ease his way in. The team has played well in his absence. And, I mean, what more can I add? I understand 40 years old, starting his 23rd season. Nobody has played 23 seasons. And LeBron is indestructible, despite the fact that he missed the first 14 games with that sciatica nerve. But LeBron, I think, despite his success, and you could even say the ego, running a team, being the team leader, being the guy, et cetera, for so many years, I would think, and I don't know this, but from afar, I would think that he's saying, yeah, Luka, this is you. I'll be here. If I need to score or when I need to score, I will, but I'm going to hang out in the wing, stay away, stay clear. I'm going to pick my spots. Same with the defensive side of the ball, and that's it. And I think LeBron is going to do that. I don't think he's going to try to upset the apple cart. I don't think he's going to try to go in there and say, hey, I need to get my 30, 32 minutes. Perish the thought, because he's going to want to preserve himself for April, May, and June if they do go that far. But LeBron coming back, I mean, listen, how I look at it is that I think he's going to have a role and play a big part to this team, but I don't know how much he's going to be able to contribute night in, night out on the level that we've seen him do pretty much from the day he walked into Sacramento to start off his NBA career. I mean, I'm just calling it like it is. And I think at this stage of his career, who knows if this is going to be his last year, but yeah, I don't want to say he's looking for the exits, but the exits are looking for him. And I'm sure he's well aware that, yeah, this could be me any day now to just kind of hang it up, go off into the sunset, etc. But I think it's good for him to be back. I know it's the Lakers. I can't stand them, but that's number one. Pistons roll 11. We talked about Cade Cunningham's 25 and 10, and they can't be stopped right now. I mean, think about this. You look at the two beasts in each conference. You have the Brewers, I'm thinking Milwaukee all of a sudden. You have the scenario regarding the Oklahoma City Thunder. What are they, 14-1? And then you have 13-2 Pistons. So if I do the math, 27-3 between the two teams. And I said Brewers out of the blue, so my apologies. Yeah, I just had Milwaukee on the brain. I had the Bucks because I also want to talk about Giannis in a minute. $27-3, those two teams. I mean, you can't play any better than that. And the Pistons right now, clicking on all cylinders. You got to like what you see with what Cade Cunningham, who I know had a hip issue, was out for 3 games, but came back, didn't miss a beat, beat the Hawks. And I just hope that health doesn't interfere with Cunningham, former number 1 pick overall, Oklahoma State, you know the whole deal. But as much as Jay's talked about him being in the MVP discussion, and he rightfully, deservedly so, I know people are going to say Luka. I know people are going to say, obviously, SGA, Nikola Jokic. But Cunningham deserves that as well. Who would have thought the Pistons would get off to a 13-2 start to the year on the heels of a season last year where they were what? I believe 47-35. First round, gave the Knicks all they could handle. They did lose in 6, but still. And actually could have won the series depending on if certain things broke a certain way. But, yeah, you got to like what you see there with Detroit. And I like that a young team, physical team that isn't afraid to flex their muscle, even against the veteran teams, I think that's going to bode well. Now, you only hope that throughout the course of this year, and especially once you get to the playoffs, that they don't fizzle out, or let's say they're this year's Cleveland Cavaliers. And what I mean by that is, remember, Cleveland last year got up to a 15-0 start, won the conference going away with a 1 seed, and then what happened? They lost 5 games in the second round. I mean, seriously? So, and I'm not trying to compare the Pistons to last year's Cavalier team. But, yeah, you got to like what you see there in the Motor City. I know Jay does. Jay's, I'm sure, over the moon with what the Pistons have done here so far. And then the Raptors. They are 9-5, but they've actually won 8 of their last 9 games. So, listen, is this sustainable? Is this going to continue? I'm going to say no, but you got to be shocked when you see that the Raptors, who after the second week of the season were hovering around the bottom of the Eastern Conference, and then now all of a sudden they're in the middle of the pack. I mean, what do you say? You're thinking, wait a minute, where the hell did this come from? And it's not as if they have DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry, or even after that with Kawhi Leonard and Marc Gasol and players like that. This is what? Scotty Barnes and Brandon Ingram and RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly and Jacob Portal and the other guy I can't even pronounce his name. It's Mama Shavlit. I can't even pronounce it, and I don't even if I sat here to try to pronounce it, it'd take me about 20 minutes. So they have been pleasantly a big surprise there. And again, is it going to last? Probably not. But you got to give it up for them to turn it around the way they did here over the last 2-3 weeks or so, or not even that. Maybe the last 2 weeks is the first 2 weeks quiet, and the last 2 weeks they've actually turned it on. But that is what is happening pretty much with the association. The thing with the Milwaukee and also San Antonio real quick, Giannis out 1 to 2 weeks with that groin injury, and for the Bucks, who have been so-so, but anytime you get Giannis out, and on top of that, in San Antonio, Victor Wembanyama, who's going to be out 2 to 3 weeks with a calf strain, and they're going to reevaluate him at that time. And I've said this dating back to last year, or maybe even his rookie year, and I've even said this at some point last year. When you're that tall and you have that frame, and I understand you're not going to look like the Hulk. You're not going to be huge from a standpoint of muscles. Now, of course, when you're that thin and you work out, the muscles are going to be there, but he's not built in that regard. And this is the one thing that scares me if I'm a Spur fan, is because, all right, last year he had the blood clot issue. Terrible. I mean, you can't even make that up. It was in his right shoulder. All right, fine. But when you have calf injuries, foot injuries like Chet Holmgren did in his rookie year, and he's, an inch shorter than Victor Wembanyama, this is one thing that you have to really concern yourselves, especially, forget about Spurs fan, if you're an NBA fan, because you want to see Wembanyama, who I think is the NBA's most important player this year, because you want to see him do well. You want to see him put himself in a situation where their team is going to make the playoffs. He's going to be an all-star. He's going to be all those things. And important from a standpoint of, this guy could be the face of the league at some point down the road. But if he's going to continue to miss games and not be in the lineup, a lot of that because of his size, his frame, etc., then does he become another Sean Bradley? Does he become another Sam Bowie? Does he become, I mean, you got to really think of it in that regard. So let's hope for a speedy recovery for both of those guys, both Victor Wembanyama, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. And that is your NBA in that regard. Let me just pull this up here real quick. I know I got comments there. Yes, I see plenty of comments, which I'll get to momentarily. So, yeah, that's what you have there with the NBA. Is there anything else? Let me pull up standings. NBA. Boom. Yeah, Knicks, Sixers, Hawks, Heat, Bulls, Celtics, Magic. Bucks on the outside looking in, but that's no big deal. I mean, they're tied with the Celtics and Magic. But then you have Charlotte, Brooklyn, falls off from there. And in the Western Conference, at least at 7 through 10 in the East, teams are above 500. Have you seen out West? Phoenix, who actually has played pretty well here, 9-6. Val's Golden State Warriors 9-7, and then 9 you have Portland at 6-8, Utah 5-9, round out your 7 through 10 in the West, and then after that it's Clippers, Memphis, Dallas, Sacramento, and the Pelicans, where Clippers, Grizz, Mavericks, Kings, each team has 4 wins, and the Clippers have 10 losses, and the Grizzlies, Mavericks, and Kings have 11. So that's all you need to know there. And Sacramento's 3-11. Wait, did I pick them as an over this year? I know I did not, didn't I? Oh, please. I should know better if that's the case. What do we have here? Oh, I picked 2 unders. That's right. And both of those unders are looking pretty good right now. Memphis and the Clippers. And my overs, Orlando, as I said earlier, 51.5, no good. Milwaukee, 43.5, which I think they'll do. They're going to win 44 games. Knicks, 53.5. Not looking good now. And then the Mavericks at 41.5. And I'm surprised the Mavericks have played the way they have. They're not, I don't think on paper they're a bad team. But they just have not gelled, played well. And, of course, Anthony Davis is out. So that doesn't make matters any better. So that's what you have there. All right, let me get to the comments. See where we're at here. See a lot of miles. All right, here we go. Felicia, Mile. All right, I think I'm right. This man, he's suspicious. He might be reporting you. Is that Miles? Four in a row, sir. Yeah, that's Michigan and Ohio State. I know I said 3 the last time. Didn't I do that? What is wrong with me? Well, no, he won't. Yeah, my bad, Jay. 4 in a row, not 3. And next week, you and I got to talk off air. Next week being live stream. Miles and Felicia going back at it. All right. John Moran trade talk vanished. I haven't heard anything in days. Yeah, that. I don't know if that's going to. Listen, Memphis is playing poorly. I would really consider trading him. And I know it's tough. Your fan base will just jump ship. You're not going to get probably anything close to equal value or more. Yeah, that is not good. Miles, sorry about that. My phone died. That's all right. You're forgiven. Me too. Felicia, your phone died as well. Jay, if you look at the Felicia profile, you'll see me on the left. Hold on. Hey, look at that. Wait, you know what I'm going to do? Where's my phone? I got to take a picture, and then I got to enlarge that because I could barely see that. Even if I enlarge, hold on, let me enlarge the screen. That would help. Hey, look at you, Miles. Check that out. And you're there with Felicia. Now, who's that to you? Is that your sister? Is that a cousin? All right, Miles. All right. I like that. Pretty cool. I dig it. Thanks for letting me know because I saw the picture of 2 people. I didn't know that was you in there. So thanks for letting me know. All right. I like that. Oh, so wait a minute. I scrolled out and then all of a sudden I went back and I got to scroll all the way up again. Hold on. All right. So John Morant, sorry about that. Phone died. Me too. Jay, if you look at the Felicia profile, you see me on the left. Yes. I love it. And Felicia, yeah, we got to find out who you are. That's all I want to know. That was in the gaming truck. Yeah. Where was the gaming truck? Was that near your home? Miles, you play Madden or college football online? Oh, I want to know. Miles, come on. You got to play Madden. Madden is all time. And I understand that's, they say it's way before your time. I know, Jay, once upon a time I played Madden, but yeah, I haven't played Madden 14 years. I play now, I get smoked. I want to play 2K. Is that a fly? What the hell? Get that out of here. It's behind the camera. I just hit it by accident. Yeah, 2K was all right. Yeah, look at that. Get out of here. Stupid fly. Thankfully, I was able to. It was just crawling. I didn't even. We're going to be Animal Kingdom here in a moment. 2K. Yeah, I used to play that too. I haven't played that in eons. Right on. I was going to say I would play. Yeah, that would have been awesome. I would definitely watch that. I don't like the 2K. Yeah, I haven't played 2K in forever. Jay versus Miles. Yes, I would love that. Yes. Jay's losing. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, he is. Oh, yeah. I've been playing Madden since the very first Madden in Sega Genesis. Yeah, same here. Way back. You played it in 1830. Miles, Xbox or PlayStation? All right, let's see what he's going to say. PS4. Okay. But he has an Xbox One. Yeah, I was a PlayStation guy. My PlayStation 3 has been in storage for forever, and I don't even think you can play any of the. Yeah, if you have games for PS3, but yeah. And who plays DVDs / Blu-ray discs? It needs a power cord, though. I'm sure you can get that, Miles. I bought the very first Xbox. That was enough for me to turn into a Sony fan. Oh, yeah, I know. To me, it was PlayStation. I've never been a Sony PlayStation. I've never been an Xbox guy. PS5 or 4. That's crazy. Miles online, like $5 or go to a pawn shop. Yeah, exactly. Those things are cheap. Xbox Game Pass. PS5 running college football 2012. Didn't make college football for it. Yes. So you like it for college football. I like this. I play mainly against the computer. I don't go online a lot. Getting yelled at. I know. And that's the thing. I have never played a video game because even when I had the PS3, I didn't have the headset. I didn't do all that. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I have so many people just yapping it up, and I just get frustrated. Yes, Miles, I'm just for college football. What about Spider-Man? Yeah, the video game for Spider-Man. What is that? You just sling webs throughout the city and try to save what's her name? Not Lois Lane. That's Superman. All right, Jared. Yeah, I play sports games. Yeah, get mad and quit. Yeah, that'd be me too, Jay. Yes, it was. Check and see if your PlayStation 3 is backwards compatible. If so, I'll give you some good money for it, Jay. Oh, look at that. That's nice of you, Jay. Jay buying something from Jay. Deja vu. Oh, that's cool, Jay. I like that. All right, let's see what we got here. Ooh, 118. All right. Yeah, I got a few more things here before I bid adieu. NHL right now. Let's see what we got. Banners, latest there. I know last night you had a scenario where the Islanders were in Dallas, and toward the end of the game, Mikko Rantanen checked Alexander Romanov into the boards. Now, you got a game misconduct boarding, and when he was coming off the ice, the Islander coach, Patrick Waugh, had some choice words for him, and one of the sentences that was uttered out of his mouth was saying that you're not going to effing finish the next game because the sun is out. Because Dallas comes to play the Islanders at some point. Now I have to take off the light because the battery's at 6%. I didn't get the notification. All right, we're going to lose the light here, people. I didn't get the notification. It would say, hey, your battery's at 10%. You got to recharge. Let's go. Yeah, my battery got zapped here this time around. All right, light's going to go, people. So 3, 2. It's not going to be terrible, but 1. Oh, yeah, that looks bad. Hold on. What if I zoom in, zoom out? All right, I'm going to freak. No, all right, it's getting there. My battery. Imagine if it would have crapped out. That would not have been a good thing. And I know people are going to say, well, Jay Reels, why don't you just plug it in beforehand? I have a power strip underneath the desk here. And unfortunately, the power strip, there's like the two at the end that I use. One for the light, which the adapter's this big. And then, of course, the adapter for the laptop, which is a MacBook, is like that big. So I only have the two there. I'd have to start unplugging other stuff here. So, yeah, it would just be a mess. But it doesn't look too bad. Well, we just got a little bit left here anyway, because I got some baseball stuff to get to. But the scenario last night, so Patrick Roy, the coach, came out and said that, yeah, we're going to see you again down the road, and you're not going to make it through the effing game. So Patrick Roy kind of showing a little, how could I say, not gamesmanship, but from a standpoint of maybe the next time they play that he's going to get beat up and thrown out of the game, which I would love to see, but I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah, I'm pulling up on the schedule now because I want to see when that game is. Let's see. And listen, does this mean anything in the grand scheme of things? It does not, but I want to have a little fun. And if you saw the hit, it was a bad hit. And even the coach of the Stars came out and said, it wasn't that bad. But I was like, come on, stop. If that happened to his player, forget about it. He'd be up in arms. Wow, they don't come until March 26th. So you got 4 months. December, January, February. Yeah, more than 4 months before they come back. So unless they have short memories, it's not as if they're going to play next week or the week after. So just something to throw in there. But NHL overall, what I got here, the dog may bark in a minute. Somebody's coming out of the apartment next door. I know Craig Berube, the coach of the Blackhawks, coach of the Maple Leafs, has gotten the dreaded endorsement as far as the words of encouragement, which that's usually the kiss of death. But the Maple Leafs have underachieved, although they did win last night. They beat the Blues there. But other than that, Red Wings have played well. As you well know, Jay, first place in the Atlantic. Devils and Hurricanes are tied at the top. No Jack Hughes. He's out for 8 weeks. So that's something that we certainly have to keep an eye on. Colorado's won 6 in a row, and they still have one loss in regulation. 13-1-5, which is remarkable when you think about it. And the Islanders lost in Colorado a couple days ago. What was that, Sunday night, I believe? And that was their only loss on this road trip because I believe they're, 5-1 on the road trip currently. And the Islanders have one more stop before they come home, which I would think they're going to – and as a matter of fact, they're playing your team tomorrow there, Jay, in Detroit. Some revenge from the game earlier this year when they scored 7 goals against them, if you remember, out in the island. But, yeah, that's about it. Nothing else really going on. Edmonton just treading water. They're playing Washington tonight against Ovechkin and company. And Ovechkin now has 904 goals in his career. So that's it with the NHL. Let me see the comments, and I'll get to the baseball and then bid adieu. Hold on. Hey, another J in the house? Uh-oh, I'm a J too. But, yeah, I see the picture of, with you and Felicia. Now you are. Got to go get sun out of urgency. All right, Jay, I hear you. Hope all goes well. Jay, can you say double card up, please? Did you switch rooms? Miles, you got 3 people on, so it's Miles, Jay, and Felicia. Is that all you? As far as baseball goes, free agency, when will the dominoes fall? Now, you had the players who got the qualifying offer. If your name is Trent Grisham of the Yankees, if your name is Brandon Woodruff of the Brewers, if your name is Off the top of my head, I'm missing 2 other players that got the qualifying offer. Let me see. Do I have it written down there somewhere? Those are the 2 players I know. But then you also have Gleyber Torres and Shota Imanaga. Yeah, $22.5 million with their respective teams. That being Grisham with the Yanks, Gleyber Torres with the Tigers, Shota Imanaga with the Cubs, and Brandon Woodruff with the Brewers. All teams that have made the playoffs last year. Now, spring training, because I'm looking at that here too. I'm all over the map here. I said Brewers earlier, spring training. The winter meetings are in 2 weeks, 2 weeks from this coming Monday. Who knows what's going to happen between now and then? You would think over Thanksgiving it'll get a little bit quiet, but maybe things will start to percolate a little bit because generally sometimes you may get that story a la Curt Schilling, if you remember back in 2004 when there were rumblings about him being signed on the dotted line and was, I believe, the day after Thanksgiving. So we shall see what's going to happen with the free agents that are out there. We know who they are. The Pete Alonsos, now Edwin Diaz. He did not accept the qualifying offer. The 2 guys from the Mets. Framber Valdez, pitcher from Houston. There's all the key free agents that are out there. I think they'll start to fall probably the week heading into, not the week itself, but the week leading into the winter meetings. You're going to hear a lot more rumors. You may hear even rumors as early as next Friday. I understand that football is going to suck all the oxygen out of the room, but I'm going to be curious to see how this free agent period is going to go because unlike the other sports, similar like the NFL, NBA, NHL, it's a 2, 3, maybe 4-day window, and then that's it. And you may get some trades. You may get some signings that come on a little bit later after that. But the key bulk of the free agents that sign are in those first few days. With baseball, you don't get that. I mean, think back to last year with Juan Soto. Soto signed, I believe it was the Thursday after the winter meetings. So, and then they had the press conference, etc. Which that's a pretty decent amount of time. But in years past, you had guys like Manny Machado and Bryce Harper. They signed late. Look at Pete Alonso last year. He was a free agent. He didn't sign until pretty much the eve of spring training. So I don't know how this is going to go around in this go around, but I would think that maybe we'll start to hear some rumblings heading into that weekend, which I believe is December 6th. 6th through 10th is the winter meetings in Orlando. So I would think that 1st through 5th time frame, you'll start to hear rumors. You'll start to hear some rumors, I would think. And then when you go into the winter meetings, maybe there'll be some trades. Maybe there'll be some signings. Hopefully, I'm sure there will be some signings. Who will be signed? That remains to be seen. But, yeah, baseball usually takes their sweet time to get these guys signed on a dotted line. And I hope that's not going to be the case this year because – and I would think the GMs and owners, they're really going to just take their sweet time because of what's going to happen next year, 2026. After that, with December 1st, if the CBA has not been renewed, forget about it. You're not going to see baseball for quite some time. And that's another thing, too, real quick. Can the powers that be get together and start talking about what's happening here? World Series is long gone. You're finished with the offseason awards. Everybody knows who the MVP, Manager of the Year, Rookie of the Year, as well as the Cy Young. Can we start getting some discussions there? If you're Tony Clark and Rob Manfred and the other representative, the lawyer there for the Players Union. I mean, come on, Players Association, I should say, and union. Can we get cracking? Not to say you have to hammer out a deal between now and this December 1st, although that'd be fantastic. But we've seen the NBA and even the NHL where they signed on a dotted line a year and a half before the CBA was up. And the CBA would have been up next September. They re-upped, I believe, right before the end of the regular season. So I don't want to hear that, oh, well, it can't be done. And I get it, salary cap, and we've been down this road a million times. But all I'm going to say is this. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again, and there's a receipt that you're going to keep, trust me, till next year around this time. If baseball goes on strike, let it go on strike. If baseball wants to, the owners that is, put a salary cap, let them do it. Because guess what? You know who's going to crack first? The players. I understand you can say, well, the owners aren't making any money. And yeah, you could say that. But if the owners are really going to stand their ground and say, we can't afford these type of contracts. Yeah, the Mets could spend $765 million on Juan Soto. The Pirates can't. The Guardians can't. The Royals can't. I understand they signed Bobby Witt to whatever it was, $252 million. But they could only do that with one player. They can't do that with 3 or 4 players like the Mets have been able to do. So get it right. My point being is that if they go on strike, let them go on strike all of 2027 and even into 2028. And they can play an 80-game season that year as long as they get it right. Competitive balance, parity, ceiling, floor. That's it. So if your ceiling is $270 million for a salary cap, but the floor is $170, let's go. Easy for me to say as a fan from afar, and the players are going to be like, hell no, we're not going to do that. Tough. The sport will be better for it. The sport will probably be even not as popular as the NFL, but it will probably rank close to them, and it'll be still a distant second. But until they get that fixed and get it done the right way, this is going to be the same nonsense over and over again. And one last thing on the baseball before I get to the comments and bid adieu. Wait, I just lost that. Hold on. Oh. For the Baltimore Orioles, and listen, I'm not trying to make out Grayson Rodriguez to be Jim Palmer. Okay, so let's start there. But that trade yesterday of them shipping Rodriguez to Anaheim for Taylor Ward, the outfielder, power-hitting outfielder. He's hit 61 home runs the last 2 years, showing a lot of punch in his bat. And that's fine. But the Orioles need pitching. The only thing I could think of is they traded him because they probably saw either work habits, ethic, something in his attitude that maybe they figured, we don't want to deal with this kid. Because why would you trade a young pitcher who did not pitch at all last year, who still has 4 years of service time before he becomes a free agent? And again, they have no pitching. None. What, Kyle Bradish, Dean Kramer, Jonathan Means, who's been on the IL with Tommy John twice. They brought in Charlie Morton, but then shipped him out of town. How did that work out? And he was their one young stud that they had who pitched well 2 years ago. Last year, had an issue with the elbow, then tried to come back and re-injured it. And I don't think he needed Tommy John, but they figured, you know what, the hell with it. Let's just cut bait. To me, that trade made no sense. And Taylor Ward, by the way, is going to be a free agent after next year. So that is on top of them having to re-sign Adley Rutschman, having to re-sign Gunnar Henderson, having to re-sign, well, they still got plenty of time, but still, Jackson Holiday, having to re-sign guys like that. Heston Westberg, Colton Cowser. They have a lot of good young players on that team. No pitching, but good young players. So you're going to bring in Taylor Ward to ship your one time, I believe it was 11th overall pick in the draft a few years ago, for a guy that's going to add more pop to your lineup. Great. But are you going to sign him at the end of the day when you have the aforementioned homegrown players that still need to be signed on the dotted line? Make it make sense. I don't get it. But the bottom line is they must have seen something in Rodriguez that they did not like and figured that, you know what? Whether he's lazy, and I'm not saying he is, I don't know that, but whether they do not like his work habits or his work ethic, or maybe, like I mentioned, his attitude, and he just decided to say, to hell with this. Let's get something back, even if it's a guy that's going to be here for a rental. Because that team has no pitching. They might as well have me in the rotation. That's how bad they are. So, but that's what you have with the baseball. And let me see what we got here before I sign off. Oh, so that's your cousin. All right. Oh, and that's Xavier. So wait, why does he go by Felicia? Can you answer that? It's my variations, your aliases from a different universe. I've seen you from my universe, but your hair has grown. Yeah, it was once upon a time. Now it's short. Jay, what was my first video? What do you mean, my first live stream? Jay, still be in your 2012 version. I don't know what that means, but okay. Oh, 2025 version. All right. Yeah, I thought I was in my 2025 version. Jay, do you want to play free games? On what? I don't have any of those systems. My PS3 is not here, and it's a PS3. Yeah, it's the PS3. It's not a 4 or 5. So I don't know if I can still play. But Miles, that's what I got. As I get ready to sign off, you guys and gals know the drill. Podcast pregame tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Join me. I'm going to have an interesting programming note that I need to share. Something I'm still working on behind the scenes. It's nothing major, but it's something that could affect Monday's live stream and podcast. So you want to stay tuned. Any last thoughts, which I'll get to? I see a couple there. Please subscribe if you haven't done so. I'd sincerely appreciate it. Latest version or latest edition of the podcast coming at you tomorrow. Pretty much some of the things I discussed here, but more expounding on more of that. Whatever else that's happening in the world of sports over the next 24 hours. Thanks to all for stopping by live or replay. You know how much I appreciate you guys and gals. And let's see. What does... You found an app called JoyArc? You can play free games. All right. So I could download that on my phone. And if I do download that, then I'm sure you'll probably come look for me. But I don't know. I'm not much into the games playing on my phone. In fact, the only game that I have on my phone, well, the actual games that comes with the app, but I don't even open that up. But maybe just for you, Miles, I'll take a peek and see. All right. Well, that will do it. Miles, Felicia, Jay, Val, Tatsuya. Didn't miss anybody else, right? Did I? No, I think that's it. Oh, the other Jay, whoever that may be. I appreciate you all. You know that. No, they have sports too. Oh, good to know. All right, I like that. I appreciate you all. You know that. Thanks for all stopping by live of the replay. Again, you know the drill for tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Podcast will come at you a little later tomorrow. Wife's going to be home, so it's not as if I'm going to be crack of dawn. I will be doing my live stream outdoors. Need to go for a run in the morning. And then I'll come on after or right at 9:30, break it all down, get into it, the whole nine, as we continue this journey here, doing these weekly live streams, doing the Monday and Thursday ones as well on top of the podcast with a lot more content here on the YouTube channel, because whether you do or do not know, it's what I love to do. In the blood and the DNA since birth, talking sports. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Here on the channel, want to hit me up on any of my socials, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, the J Reels Podcast. Twitter, JReels1, just a number. The email address is the jreelspodcast@gmail.com. Whatever that you have on your mind, I'll be more than happy to follow up and get back at you in a timely manner. So just remember, over the next couple of days with the podcast and obviously the pregame and anything and everything that's coming down the pike when it happens in the sports landscape, you know I got you covered. So stay locked in on the YouTube channel for shorts, commentary, critiques, lifestyle stuff. I got it all, because as long as I'm in front of this microphone, camera, etc., you know I'll deliver nothing but passion, fire, energy, fury with my thoughts, opinions, critiques, praise, analysis, feelings on anything and everything that happens on the world of the diamond, ice, gridiron, hardwood, golf course, racetrack, tennis court, boxing ring, octagon, you name it. From my lips to your ears, from my heart to your soul, from where I am to wherever you are. The J Reels live stream always comes live, correct, directed, in full effect. And before I sign off, what's this? What's my wife like? She's lovely. She's fantastic. See, speaking a little Spanish there, huh, Miles? Well, yeah, my wife is, that's why I married her. Super blessed in that regard. From the South Bronx, the South Beach, the South Central, the South Pacific, and all points beyond. Peace, love, and God bless everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Hump Day Wednesday. I'll see you guys tomorrow on the podcast pregame. Obviously, the podcast to follow in the afternoon. And until next time, everybody, on the flip.